Okay, you're gonna buy one house, and we're gonna teach you how you're gonna be able to make it so you can have investments. That if we don't have a balance, it's so easy to just be at the office the whole day. You don't even see. Sometimes I don't see my kids because I left in the morning. So there are programs like DSCR. I don't know if you ever heard about DSCRs, because we can do a loan for you as an investor. If you are in Arizona right now and you haven't invest in real estate, you're gonna be very, very sorry for not doing it, taking it serious. It's important for you to leave a legacy. An important legacy. So on life, at least to me, that's very important. And that legacy, I'm not talking about money. My dad passed away in 2017. I didn't get any inheritance, house, money, but the education, the love, the time that I spent with him, that's what's gonna be with me the rest of my life. For people that have that opportunity, don't make that mistake and think because your son is 5 years old, in a blink of an eye, your son, your daughter are going to be 10, 15, and
that is too late.
It's too late, but...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official I Am Voice podcast.
Be whoever you want to be.
Make sure you follow us on social media at the DJ Voice, and just look for DJ Voice, and the website is iamvoice.com. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another amazing episode of I Am Voice podcast. I actually have a very important guest. I'll allow him to introduce himself.
How you doing? My name is Juan Arce. I'm a loan officer, branch manager for Geneva Financial. And thank you very much for having me here.
Now, I appreciate taking the invite, brother.
3 weeks. You should say something like 3 years, something make it more interesting. Like
10 years.
Yeah, I've been following this guy for 3 years and gonna make. No, I'm just messing. Yeah.
No, and the reason is, brother, because I know you're very busy. I know you have been working in a lot of projects, and you're helping us with so many clients that they just keep piling up, brother. So I know we ourselves, we keep you very, very busy. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I have gotten to know the flow of work that you actually have. And I was like, man, we got to pick his brain a little.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So that's why I'm here. So let's talk. And like I told you when we met, I'd like to learn from everybody. And I learned a lot from you too. So.
No, brother. And now that you are a branch manager, correct?
Yes.
You're a branch manager at Geneva?
That is correct.
How did you get to this position, and how did you start in real estate? What got you motivated?
So I worked for Wells Fargo for a little over 10 years. And I left Wells Fargo in 2020. And I started my journey as a loan officer outside the banking world, which is way different. And I noticed that the process as a loan officer, it's not as smooth or as simple as it should be. So I started working as a loan officer, and I developed my own system to be able to close deals quick, and every single time be able to do, every time I do a pre-approval, close the deal, make sure everything closes. So, but I got the opportunity. Geneva called me, offered me the position as a branch manager, and it wasn't even in my thoughts to open a branch. It was just me working, doing my loans, and I had my loan officer assistant processing the whole shebang. And it wasn't until they offered me the position. They say, you know what, you should be going to the next level and doing. Opening your own branch and grow the same system that you're doing, but now with all the loan officers as well. And that's how we got started.
Well, that's very interesting, right? Because here we're about to nitpick the sauce. You know, we're going to try to decipher the formula, brother, because it's very effective. I have witnessed it myself, right? I think one of the clients who was ready to close like within 9 days, or it's almost like 9 days. I think it was ready to go 9 days, and it was a refi and a purchase. Take away all the technical stuff. The client, our friend, he was very impressed with the service that he got.
And you know what? I think, in my opinion, it should not be a transactional, because our customers end up becoming our friends. I spoke with one of our customers, Ramon. We closed. I just spoke with him yesterday, And he was, hey Juan, thank you very much. And I said, hey, I was just calling you to see how's the house going, how's everything going, because you get involved in the process, and it shouldn't be transactional, and that's how this industry should work, in my opinion.
Right? We call it relational. And I think that's
Exactly.
where we merge really, really good, right? Because in our team, in our process, and in Unity, the way that we teach things is being very, very relational.
Correct.
Right? Create relation. Don't even worry about anything else. Just create the relationship with the person, because something that we say all the time is, look, everybody hates being sold. That's why nobody likes car salesmen, right?
But we all like to buy.
But we all like to buy with a friend.
Yeah.
We all love to go shopping with a friend.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you build that relationship, you create that rapport, you become a resource.
That's correct.
Right? And not somebody that is trying to make money out of somebody else. And that's the energy that people get.
That is correct. And you know what? To me, and this is, I tell this to my team, I tell this to everyone, customer always comes first. And I always get even bullied at my office, because sometimes customers come into my office and they take 1-2 hours, whatever it takes. My answer to my team is, we'll do whatever it takes, because they're not buying a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So they're not buying, they're not doing a purchase that is going to be just a small single purchase. So they're buying a house, and you need to respect and give them the time, okay, that they deserve to understand the process, because we're hoping that this is not going to be their last. So we want to help them to grow their portfolio and be able to understand the process so they can feel more comfortable. You're not, I mean, you will understand that buying a property, buying a house, it's intimidating, right? Because you're committing for 30 years, 400,000, 500,000. What am I doing?
Not even marriages.
Exactly. Not even marriages. Exactly. That's correct. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta make the customer feel that you care, because and it has to be genuine. It's not like you're lying. So I can feel this when I'm talking to a customer in the office. I can feel the energy that they're worried, they have questions, but they don't know how to ask the question.
Exactly.
And you need to be able to peel the onion, ask more questions so the customer feel comfortable and understand the process. And I think that's the essence of the job of a loan officer, is be able to guide the transactions from beginning to end. But if the customer is not able to tell you and look you at the eyes and say, thank you very much, it was amazing, and I will, anytime in the future that I'm looking to purchase a house, I'm coming to you. Or if my family member, friends are looking to buy a house, I'm going to send them to you. Then you didn't do, even though you closed on time, you didn't really did a good job. And that's my perspective as a loan officer, and that's what I teach to my teams. And my loan officers in the office, they all understand that whatever I'm telling you right now, I tell them at the office the same thing.
And now that you're talking about that, I notice there's two different kinds of people. People that take everything transactional, and people that really focus on their calling, right? On their calling, on building relationships, on connecting with people, and really helping and solving problems through their service and their knowledge.
Correct.
Right? And I can see that in your system, in your process, and the way that you do business, that is a very natural way for you to do business. Where did this started? Like, how did this one day it clicked? What were you doing the day that you decided to follow this crazy path?
You know what? That's a good question though, and I don't think nobody had asked me that before. And everything started back when we came from Mexico. Okay. And we didn't know the process of how to buy a house. We always wanted to buy a house. We were renting. We lived in California. And I remember my mom saw an ad that someone said, we'll help you to buy a house and no down payment. And it was something that it was so simple. And we went over to the office, and everything they said, it wasn't true. So it wasn't true. So, oh no, you really need a down payment, but you said no down payment because we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a bait to be able to attract someone to an office, and they didn't explain anything. They actually charged us for the visit to the office.
So they charge you for the consultation?
They charged my mom $150 for a consultation. And I was like, back then, I'm talking to you, I was 15 years old. I didn't know nothing about the process. I thought it was something normal. But when I came to be in the position of being in the other side of the table, of the desk, now it's my commitment now to be able to help people not only to buy a house, but make sure the transaction is pleasant and they understand the process and give them the respect they deserve as a customer. And I think that's the most important thing. Everybody cares about rates. Everybody cares about the payment, of course. But I think one thing that people don't focus is how is the process and what is it you're learning about buying a house? And is this going to be the right house for you?
Exactly.
Because sometimes I get customers that they really want a house that they cannot afford. It's not the same thing being able to make a payment than being able to afford a property.
Is that what they call house broke?
Exactly. And I do care though about, and I tell customers every single time, like I give them I'm going to give you my professional opinion. Okay. You are the one going to make the decision. But it's my job to give you my professional opinion just to make sure that you're success. You're not going to have the stress or the risk of losing this house in the future, right? Because you're telling me that you're going to have the income of so-and-so, okay, as a household, but well, is that going to last how long, right? Or is your income secure? Or just give them financial guidance, so that way they can be successful.
Just share the knowledge
in the market and be able to show them how you're going to start with one property. Okay, you're going to buy one house, and we're going to teach you how you're going to be able to make it so you can have investments if that's what you want to do. Not everybody wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
But if that's what you want to do, you want to grow your portfolio, let me show you how to do it the right way. So that's
people don't realize how easy it is, right? Like how not complicated it actually is when you have the right guidance, the right people that really care about you. And that's one of the reasons that I love working here now hand on hand with Coley Studio. And even they present this podcast. So thank you very much, Coley Studio. Thank you very much, Sergio, the man, the myth, the legend, Sergio. Big round of applause, man. Big round of applause for Sergio. And everyone at Coley, because guess what? That's what I love about the culture here, that they really help people. For example, one of the things that they do is right now after the ADU law, right? That you're able to build a casita or a more livable space on your property.
Yeah.
Now, what was it, in 2024 or 25?
Last year, I think it was,
They're taking advantage of this to help people, right? Because we have a housing crisis here in Arizona.
That is correct.
You know, people are able to build a casita starting at 400 square feet and going all the way to 1,000.
Yeah.
Now, everybody knows somebody that can build them a casita for like super cheap or this and that. Good luck finding that person in 6 months.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But here, they actually walk them through the process. They educate them. And when they deliver this casita, brother, it's all livable space as a loan officer, right?
Turnkey.
Yeah. And with a certificate of occupancy.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So, yeah. And they take care of the whole process all the way from the ground, right? It's actually like a brand new house on your backyard or in your property, because they're not only do accessory dwelling units, they actually also do main houses and other things. But imagine if I have a $400,000 house, right? I bought it 10 years ago, so I probably bought it like at 175, 190, maybe.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to add an extra 700 square feet of livable square footage
that you can rent, correct?
And how would something like that help me, or what would the strategy be for you as a loan officer to help me get more properties, for example?
So one of the ways is, like, we're talking about the ADUs, right? So if you already have a house that you love, you're not looking to move to another property and you want to build, you can actually get a home equity line of credit to be able to finance the build of that casita.
Wow.
If you have the right equity on the house, right? That's something that we can help. Now, and if you want to buy more properties, so there are programs like DSCR. I don't know if you ever heard about DSCRs.
I have, and I'm very interested on them, on DSCRs, because I am somebody that's investing on real estate.
Correct.
I'm somebody that I'm growing my portfolio. However, I do stumble upon being self-employed, right? Being a business.
Correct.
And then struggling through everything that comes through a traditional loan.
And you know what? DSCR, that's the perfect product for someone that has that profile, because we can do a loan for you as an investor, and we don't have to look into your income. Okay. You know, sometimes you are a self-employee and you don't have enough income on your taxes to be able to purchase more property. You might already have one or two. And so basically with DSCR, all we need is that you have the down payment, which normally it starts at 20%. You can put more, but starts at 20%. And your credit it has to be around 660 or higher. So it's very, very easy to commit to those guidelines and to be able to get to those points of where you can qualify for the loan. So DSCR, that's the perfect loan for someone that wants to grow your portfolio.
For rental properties?
For rental properties. This is designed only for investment property.
So you cannot live on this property?
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, that's only for investment.
Okay. And is there a limit, for example, single family, duplex, triplex, fourplex, or
all of those?
Can it be 5, 6, 7, 8 units?
No, it has to be all the way to 4 units. Okay. 1 to 4. It could be a condominium. It could be sometimes even mobile homes. So
wow, even mobile homes.
Even mobile homes. Yeah, you can do mobile homes, condominiums, townhouses, fourplex, triplex, duplex, single families. The variety of properties that you can purchase is wide. So you can actually look for a property that you like, and if it makes sense, that is going to is going to be bringing in an income. So we just did one last month for our customer. He bought a fourplex, and we did a DSCR. So every one of the units is going to be rented in the range anywhere between $1,500 to $1,700. Okay, so the payment on this, it was about $3,700. But if we add all the rents that he's going to collect, is over $7,000. So that's very, very, very easy for him to qualify, because the rent is only going to be close to $7,000, but the payment is $37,000. So he's actually profiting about 40%.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. When now you said something about the income, right? Let's say for a lot of us that run businesses, we may have 2 or 3 businesses. Our personal taxes don't reflect as much income, maybe like as what the businesses do, right? How does the income part work on a DSCR?
So we don't have to look into your income.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not going to ask you for taxes. I'm not going to ask you for pay stubs, W-2s, nothing. So basically it's just, we're going to do a rent schedule, okay, on the property that you're buying, to see how much. It's just like an appraisal, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Inside it, we call it 1007. Let's just say the property says we can rent this property for $3,000. So that's how we're going to determine what is the DSCR ratio. If the monthly payment on the property is $3,000, then we're 1-to-1. If the rent is higher, then it's over 1. If the rent is lower, it's under 1. So it's just technical stuff. I don't want to. So, but it doesn't matter where it is. We can make it work. So
you're giving me so much ideas right now.
Yeah. So that's basically amazing, because you can buy more properties and you don't have to worry about your income, because the property's income is going to make the property qualify. So all you have to do is just keep your credit over 660 and have the money for the down payment.
Is there a limit on properties that I can have on their DSCR?
No. You can have as many properties as you can afford.
Really?
Yes.
I like it. I like this. This is a great opportunity and a great conversation, right? Because a lot of people don't even know that these opportunities are available.
Exactly.
Right?
It's important to know.
And just to confirm, right? This is not like a hard money loan or anything like that, right?
You know, one of the nice things is some of the DSCRs can go up to 40 years.
Oh.
So that's another good point. And a lot of people think, and this is where I like to educate people, I don't want 40 years.
Oh, educate me.
40 years. And a lot of people get scared when you say 40 years. I don't want to be paying this for 40 years. You don't have to. You can pay in 10 if you have the money. But it's nice when you're talking about investment. It's nice to be able to have the longer the term, the better, because the lower the payment.
And the higher the cash flow.
Exactly. So that's what we're looking for as an investor. We're looking for the cash flow, right?
Exactly.
Making sure that we're not going to be putting money out of our own pockets to pay the property. We want the property to pay by itself and leave us some cash at the end. So that's basically the principle of an investment property.
Wow, that's a lot of good information, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us, because a lot of people have asked me that question. Everyone, and we do a lot of consultations. Everyone that comes in and we explain how this works, by the time we open their eyes and allow them to see that even as a first-time home buyer, you could actually buy a multifamily.
Yes, you can buy a multifamily. You can live in one of the units, and this is not only in. Doesn't only pertains to DSCR. You can do this with FHA. You can do this with conventional. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to buy a fourplex, you can actually live in one of the units and rent the other three. And we can use the income, even though you haven't even buy the property yet. Okay, we can use 75% of the income, of the future income of each one of the units, which is going to help you to qualify, because that's going to give you income.
I love it.
That's a very good tip that you can. A lot of people say, I'm not going to qualify for this property because it's 500,000, and they told me I can only qualify for 350. Well, but the only thing that you're not thinking is that you can use the future income of those other three units, and we can help you to get all that squared out and teach you how you're going to get it done.
And it can be purchased and refi for DSCRs, right? I'm sorry, going back to the DSCR.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, DSCR, you can use it for purchase. You can use it for refinance, cash out. Doesn't matter. So if you have a property, an investment property already that you bought it 5 years ago and you want to cash out, but you don't think you're going to qualify because your income, then we can use DSCR and we can cash out on the DSCR as long as the payment meets the requirements.
I really like that option. I really like that option because as an investor, I have done a lot of fix and flips, and I've worked in many fix and flips. My forte is wholesale, finding the property, sourcing the properties, and doing everything like that. As an example, I can find a property that is per se 200,000 and is worth 400,000, right?
Yeah,
I get it, and obviously, maybe at the beginning I gotta get a hard money because can I use the DSCR? Should I get a hard money first in order to recap and then refi?
It all depends. If the property is, if the appraisal, when we do the appraisal on the property, goes through as is, okay, then we can use DSCR.
Wow.
Now, if the property needs some love, okay, some fixing, then you might have to go through a hard money first, make the repairs, and then we can go through DSCR. So
beautiful.
Yes, but that's the beauty of the DSCR is that you don't have to worry about your income anymore.
No, it actually solves so many problems. It opens so many opportunities.
Exactly.
Right? Because a lot of times for those of us who are already in the business, we have access to the hard money loans. We have access to pretty much everything to get started, right? We can find the property. We can get it. We can do the repairs and everything. But now you're coming in with this beautiful option of like, fix and flips is not the ROI on fix and flipping is not what it was in 2021, 2022. Yeah. That's a reality. But now if I get a good deal and I don't want to flip it, and now I'm thinking more of holding long term and building that portfolio, I can do DSCR all day.
That is correct. And it's funny because a lot of people that is wanting to invest, they only heard about conventional, FHA, the regular stuff, but there is a lot other spectrum in the lending world that we can help. And that's why I like, when I talk to the customers, I like to do an interview, see what are their expectations, what do they want to do, and find the right product for the person according to their necessities at the moment.
And there's so many, right, people that are buying or looking to buy or qualify for just a regular house, that they have the intention. They already have the idea of investing somehow, some way or another in real estate and growing the portfolio and creating opportunities through here. Correct. And then they come and talk to you. They get an appointment. They get an assessment. They come and talk to you. And this is where you're talking about making it relational, because now you get to understand their long-term goals, right? Like, okay, I understand you wanted to buy this first house, but your dream is actually to own rental properties.
Exactly.
And now you can actually set them up in a path from the very beginning.
how to structure to be able to hit the goal and be able to make it to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. And we've done it in the past. I have plenty of customers that I actually, there is one that I always bring this guy up because it's not the only one, but it's the one that marked that it was the one that marked me. The guy came, he was 21 years old, came to my office. It was a few years ago, and he wouldn't be able to qualify. Only thing he had, it was the desire of buying a property. His credit was low. His income was low. He didn't have enough savings. So I took the time, explained, okay, this is what you want to do, and this is what we're going to have to do to be able to make it happen, right? So I gave him a list of things, and then he left the office. He says, okay, Juan, I'll get it done, and then I'll call you back. So as usual, I do my follow-ups. I call this guy a month later, 2 months later, he never answered. And I was like, well, he got discouraged, and well, it happens. So surprisingly, the guy came back 2 years later to my office, and that was about a year ago. He came over to my office and he says, Juan, and I definitely want to start now. I'm ready. So he called me first, and I didn't remember who the guy was. He gave me his name, but I couldn't remember. So, hey, just go to the office. I'll set up an appointment. When I saw his face, I know who he was now. Hey, how you doing? It's been a long time. So the guy brought me the paper with the checklist that I gave him, everything checkmarked. And he was like, Juan, I think I'm ready. So we actually went over the process, did the application, everything. He was ready. He found another, he did everything that I told him to do. Exactly. It took him 2 years, but then he got it done. And I was very happy. So we closed on his house. About 8 months later, he calls me. He says, Juan, you know what? I have a baby coming, and I don't think this house is going to be big enough. Is there any way that we can actually buy another one? And my question to him was, what do you want to do with this one? Do you want to rent it out? Do you want to sell it? He was like, well, can I keep it and rent it? I said, of course we can. I mean, that's an option. We have to look into it. But long story short, the guy we did everything that we have to do just to look at numbers. So the guy ended up renting out the property. The rent is gonna start paying for the property for itself. So he didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. Now he bought another house. So now he has, in about a year and a half, he has 2 properties now that he's making payments on. And I just talked to the guy about a month ago. He says, Juan, what do I have to do to get another one? Okay. So he got the hang of it, right? So I said, you got to save the money. Now is when we start with the DSCR, right? The process.
Perfect.
Because he wouldn't have enough income to show to be able to handle both properties, and he's going to live in that house. He's buying another one as an investment. I said, well, just make sure you save the money for the down payment. And as soon as you have the money, I can help you using a DSCR product.
Brother, and I love stories like that because that's exactly what I'm talking about with real estate being the great equalizer, real estate being a golden opportunity, right? Because people like you and I, we get to have knowledge, right? It's the knowledge that makes the difference, and we can change people's lives, just like you did for that client. We can change people's lives. And one of the things that I do when I train teams and real estate teams, and I give the relationship classes on how to build relationship with your clients, is I ask everyone, how many of you guys think you're in sales? Everybody raises their hand. And I tell them, well, I'm going to ask you to please allow me to contradict you because I really don't feel that we are sales. We're more of a necessity. You know what I mean?
You got to be an educator.
Exactly.
You gotta be an educator, not a salesperson. We all have the sales mentality, and we all sell, right? Even though you're not in sell, you don't think you're in sell. You sell your time, you sell yourself. But we need to have the mentality of being able to educate people, to be able to teach them what we know, so they can make the right decision.
Exactly.
We don't make decisions for our customers. Okay, we just give them the tools and the information so they can make the right decision.
Absolutely. And even for that, right?
Yeah.
And taking it in just a little bit in a different conversation now, talking as an entrepreneur, talking as a business owner,
yeah.
The system that you had set up, that you have set up over the years, Now with everything you're doing, what is the best advice that you can give someone that needs to set up the process for his business to take care more better care of his clients, of her clients? How do we set up this system where we're not overwhelmed? Because you have a lot of clients right now.
We do, and you know what? If it wasn't for my team, I wouldn't be able to do nothing that we do.
Ooh, so number
one is your team, and I can be out of the equation and things will still work. As a matter of fact, I was just out. I was in Mexico, and everything was smooth. Transactions were smooth. So I think the most important thing, if you work in this profession, is take care of your team and be able to have someone that can hold your back, because you can be the best loan officer ever. Okay. But if you're the one that says, I can handle everything, no, you cannot. You cannot. You can probably handle it if you're doing 1-2 transactions per month. But if you want to grow, you need to have a team that will support the growth. And I believe everybody will understand that. So again, I am not a superstar. My office, my team is my loan officer assistant, my processing, my underwriters, business developers, everybody else. We have a very, very nice team that can help us to be able to do everything we do.
That's amazing. And you mentioned something very important there. Use the team, number one, but it sounds like you have done a great job also delegating, right? Knowing how to delegate, knowing how to delegate and inspire your team. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good you are at what you do, when you're not in a place where you feel, number one, safe, where you feel supported, when you know what the goal is, when you align with whoever is leading the team, you can't grow. You can't fully give who you are.
That is correct. And you know what? If I'm talking to a loan officer, okay, I'm just gonna focus to a loan officer, because I'm so impressed how many loan officers are in the industry that don't even know what they're doing. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you this: we
keep it real, Juan. We
all have the opportunity to learn, but you need to be responsible. That's one of the first things. And what I mean responsible is be able to make sure that that you are taking care of your customer, number one, okay, responsibly, okay, that you care for your customer and be responsible, care for your customer, number two, and just make sure that you ask for documentation, make sure that you do every single step right, because I've seen so many transactions in my career that they came from other loan officers and they were pre-approved for $500,000 when the customer didn't even qualify for $200,000. Or vice versa. They came with a pre-approval for $200,000 when the customer can really go for $450,000, $500,000. Okay. And it's just because they're not taking the time to ask for the right documentation. So that's I don't want to get in details, but then that's one thing that
that's a great example.
That one thing that I will tell you as an advice is just make sure that you do the things the right way. That's very, very important.
Right. How was your trip to Mexico?
It was amazing, actually. I loved it. It was my first time in Sinaloa. I went to Sinaloa, Mexico. I loved it. It was very, very nice. They treat us like kings. It was very, very good.
I know you travel a lot, right? You travel a lot of the U.S. You travel a lot internationally, Colombia, Mexico.
Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I do. I went to Colombia last year for business. It was a business trip with one of my loan officers, and I think that the country that I visit the most is my own country. Is Mexico. Yeah.
Mexico. Where originally from?
Hermosillo, Sonora.
You're from Hermosillo, huh?
Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico.
Mira nomás. Old norteño right here.
Norteño, where we have the best carne asada.
Right.
We all have the best, right? We all have the best.
And one of the things that you were talking about, right, when we were before the podcast, you were mentioning that you went to Colombia, but you're doing a special program, right, for international investments, right?
That's correct.
People from other countries, the U.S. is very welcoming on allowing people to invest in real estate in the U.S.
That is correct. Yeah. So everything started because Victor is one of my loan officers. He's in Florida. He's Colombian. And he came out to me and says, Juan, there is a big opportunity, okay, in Colombia with people that want to invest in the U.S., but they don't know how to. So I think we should implement this product and try to do something. We didn't even have that product, to be honest, or at least we never used nothing close to it. I didn't even know was possible.
It was out of your regular box.
Correct. I never thought about it. So what we did is I went up to Geneva's CEO, and he's an amazing person. He always helps. He's always there to assist and help us with whatever we need. We had a meeting with him, and he said, if it makes sense and if we can help people and they are interested to buy, we'll find a way to do it. So he helped us. We developed the program, the product, and now that we're going out to, I went to Colombia, had a meeting with investors, was there for about 2 weeks, and it was amazing. We've been doing a lot of loans from Colombia, okay, and we closed those deals and helping people to buy property in the U.S. and invest in the country, right? So now one of my desire was to, if we did this in Colombia, okay, we can also do it in Mexico. So I had the blessing to start talking to one of my friends, and he's from Mochis, Sinaloa. Wanted to buy a property. He called me up and says, Juan, I want to buy a house. And so I helped him. We find a great opportunity for him, buy the house in Buckeye, Arizona. And we closed the deal, and he was so happy. He didn't even thought it was going to be even possible. He says, Juan, I went through because I trust you, but I didn't think you were going to be able to pull it off. I said, why not? We have the system. I said, like, yeah, definitely. But now that you did, I had to tell all my friends and talk to my friends that want to invest in the U.S. as well. So I went up to Mochis, got some meetings with people that want to invest. They were all impressed to know that they can invest in the U.S. And this is a very simple program because all we require is for them to have a valid visa with passport, a bank account in the U.S., and 25% as a minimum for down payment. So
question on that real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
And by visa, you mean, does it have to be a business visa? Does it have to be a residency? Or can it be also like a tourist visa?
Good question. Just a tourist visa. So
wow,
just a tourist visa.
That's impressive.
So, and one of the reasons is because they need to be able to come into the U.S. to sign the closing docs, right? So, and that's about it. Nothing else. That's all we need. And it's very simple for the investors to be able to come over and invest in the country, buy property as an investment. And all the thing that I was very impressed about, okay, we might think there is Mexico, there is no money or people who don't have the means to be able to purchase a property.
Correct.
But I was so impressed myself to know that they're not even thinking about putting 25%. They say, well, 25% is nice, but can I do more? They want to do, at least with the people that I'm talking to, the investors, they wanted to do 30, 40, 50% down payment. I'm like, you can do as much as you want.
Yes.
Those loans can go up to 40 years as well. So it's a product that is very interesting, okay, for people that want to invest.
Absolutely.
In the United States. So
I love it. I love those opportunities. I love being able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Because it opens so many doors, right? And by your experience in your conversations, were they interested more in investing in residential, commercial? Because I know here a lot of people nationally and internationally are setting their eyes in Arizona, on Maricopa, on Phoenix, and the surrounding areas.
Because of the growth. If you live in Phoenix area, you know everywhere you look, there is construction. The city is growing so much and will be growing in the next years to it. I mean, if you were in Phoenix 10 years ago, now it's completely different, right? So
I can feel it in the traffic, definitely.
That's the number one. That's the number one. So, basically, yes, they were interested in investing. So they want to come into the country, just look at the properties, doing a single families, maybe a duplex, triplex, fourplex. So they just want to invest. They want to have real estate, invest, and be able to grow their investments portfolio. And I think that's great, though. I mean, if you have the money, the goodwill to be able to invest, I mean, we as living in the United States, that's something good for us as well, because we want people to come and invest in our country.
Absolutely, right? There's a lot of things being done in order to promote that. And a lot of people need to know and they need to have the trust and work with the right people that can deliver these opportunities, such as yourself, you know,
100%.
Offering this, for foreign, what is it called?
Foreign national program.
Foreign national program.
Yes.
Definitely. I'm definitely going to have to do a lot more research because I have family, I have friends that they would love to take an opportunity on this.
100%. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, we're here to help you guys and guide you through the process. So it's very simple, actually.
One of the things that you mentioned that was very, very particular is the growth that is coming to Phoenix. The growth that's been happening, right? We've been seeing such an expansion of Phoenix in the surrounding areas for the last, 5 years, 2020, 2019?
Yeah,
kind of like just
for the most part, yes.
Boomed, right?
Yeah.
So what are you seeing in your business and mortgages as far as the increase in business, and where is this going?
You know what? Since I think one of the biggest blessings that we have here in Phoenix is weather. And let me explain that, because people will say, you're crazy, you have the worst weather, but we don't suffer from hurricanes. We don't suffer from earthquakes and all those Mother Nature effects that other states have. Okay, we
got scorpions.
We got scorpions. We got rattlesnakes, but and heat up to maybe 115 in the summer. but other than that, it's a state that is we're being very blessed that we have a really, really good environment that we can grow and live. So that's why a lot of companies are looking into Arizona to grow. Yes. And this is bringing a lot of people, immigration from other states into our state, which is growing. So I have a lot of my customers that are coming in from California, coming in from Texas, coming in from Florida, coming in from a lot of states. And the reason they came into Arizona is because their company is opening a facility here, and they were transferred from their state to Arizona. And I think if you remember, 8 years ago, we didn't have the 303. Now we have the 303, and it's full of warehouse and a lot of business, right?
Exactly. A lot of new builds, a lot of new construction, a lot of manufacturing plants being made out there. I just got off the phone yesterday with a conversation from a gentleman that we're doing an assessment on him because he's coming from Texas. They told him that he was going to be here for 2 years. He's part of the construction squad that's building the manufacturing plants, the chip manufacturing plants.
Okay.
And now they just extended his contract for 6 years.
And I think once you stay here, you'll love it though. And you're going to stay, and we're going to have a lot of people that are going to coming into the state, and they're going to grow. I'm gonna say this, and a lot of people is gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna say this is true. I moved into Arizona in 2014 by myself. I had my wife, my kids, but I moved here because I lived in California, and back then I was buying a house in California, very small, very far from my work and my family. And when I mean far, it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours of drive, right?
Wow.
So to be able to afford the house. And when I came into Arizona in 2014, I saw that I could purchase a very nice house for $149,000. So I told my wife, do you want to move? And she said, yes. So we move in. Since I moved in 2014, we were just talking the other day. Just since I moved, 113 people moved from different parts of the country just because our family. And I'm talking about my own family, my sister, my mother, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, friends of mine, that they came over, they liked it. So not necessarily because I told them to move, but if I wouldn't, so it just happened, right? So imagine multiplying this by thousands. People, so that's how fast and quick Arizona is growing. And if you are in Arizona right now and you haven't invest in real estate, you're gonna be very, very sorry for not doing it, taking it serious, because you think the properties are expensive now. Wait 5 years and see how the properties are gonna be worth. Just in Buckeye alone, if they didn't have a Costco. Now they have just Buckeye.
The growth is incredible.
Is a city on the west side of Phoenix, and now they have a Costco. Now they're open. They're gonna be opening a outdoor mall. They're bringing a lot of business, so that's gonna create the value of those properties to go up. So if you think $450,000 is expensive now, just wait 5 years, and you're gonna regret not buying or making the effort to be able to invest in a real estate.
Absolutely. And one of the most beautiful cases is a lady that we helped get her house back in like 2019. She got a house. She was working and making about $16 an hour. And she applied by herself or just on her own. And she got the house at $178,000. Right now, that house is worth $400,000.
I bet. Yeah, that's correct. Remember the house I just told you that I bought $149,000 in 2014?
Yeah.
I sold the house for $450,000 6 years later. So that's, if you make the math, I lived in the house for 6 years for free. And the house paid me $3,650 per month just to live in it. Right? So,
whoa. Okay. Let's say that again, and let's say it a little slower, please. Let's repeat that.
Okay, there you go. So I bought the house for $149,000 November 5th, 2014. Okay. I sold that same house in May 2022, which is 7 years, close to 7 years. And I sold it for $450,000. So if you make the math of after expenses, after everything buying the house, expenses, and the profit that I made from the house, okay, not only that I lived free on the house for all those months, but the house paid me to live in it. Okay, and I already make the math, and it's $3,650 per month that I got profit from the house per month.
Wow, that's like having another full 40-hour job somewhere, right?
Correct. That's exactly how it is. Now, this is not going to be the same thing for everybody. Okay, they just happened. I bought a house in the right time. I sold it at the right time. But if you don't invest in real estate, it's never going to happen.
Yep.
So I heard stories greater than mine, and some other stories that they were not as good. But the thing is that you have to be in the market, and you have to be able to invest in your house to be able to do it. A lot of people says a house is not an investment, is not a profit, an asset. Yeah. It is an asset, because if you're gonna have to pay for living regardless. Okay, and this is gonna be a debate for different opinions. I completely understand that, but in my case, in my opinion, okay, you're gonna have to pay for living regardless, and I'd rather pay for my own house than rent. Now, if you're not ready, and not everybody's ready to buy a house, and I'm not saying everybody should be buying a house, because in order for you to buy a house, you need to be ready.
Absolutely.
But at least you need to start the process, because if you never do, okay, you will never be ready, and you will never be able to own your own house, and you won't be able to, just having that feeling of, it's my house, and I can have my carne asada in my backyard. You know what? It feels good though. It feels good. So knowing that you have a safe place for your family to grow, I think that's the most important thing.
No, it absolutely is, brother. And that's a great advice. It's an advice that everybody, one way or another, whether you're listening to us in another country, in another city, the concept is the same. And if you want to know, make sure you reach out to us. Make sure you send us a message, and we can share with you the knowledge that we have. We can connect you with the right people like Juan. If you have family that wants to invest, that they are in another country and they want to invest in the US, absolutely possible. If you want to own multifamilies, absolutely doable. If you want to just start the very first step, yes, that's also very, very doable. And yes, you can, right? Like, one of the things that people think is they get scared of the numbers, because like you said, making this decision a lot of times can be really scary for people that have never had a debt, right? That big. This is probably the biggest debt that people are going to have in their life.
That's correct.
So we in the industry, and we as, assessing people, we need to understand that is part of being relational, right? And humanizing people. Like, man, you need to be patient with them. They need to understand. You need to share the knowledge, because this is probably going to be the biggest investment that they have to make in their life. If they already need to make this investment, if they're already going to have a debt like this, why don't we teach them how to use it wisely?
That is correct. That is correct. And you know what? Let me say something that I actually created. I did a video on this, and I spoke with this on the radio when I tell people, don't make the mistake that a lot of people is making. Number one question I get from my customers when they are in front of me, and the number one worry they have, guess what it is?
I got too many.
Interest rates. Okay. Mm-hmm. Interest rates. What are the rates? What are the rates? I want to think that that's the only question, because they don't know what the process is. They don't know what else to ask. Mm-hmm. They always ask, what is the interest rate? And they think the interest rate is the most important thing, which it is important, but it's not the most important thing. Because when you're buying a house, I can tell you right now that I have in my pipeline several customers that are ready to buy, but they're waiting for the rates to go down. Ooh. Okay. And I want to take the time to explain this, because it's important. Okay. You can always refinance your loan when the rates go down, but the purchase price can never be changed.
Exactly.
So you need to know what market that you're in. And if you know the market, and if you're a professional in the market, and you've been in the market for a long time, you know that the best time to buy a house is when the rates are high. And the reason for that is because the market is slow, right now.
Yep.
So there are houses, if you go to Zillow, okay, and you look at properties anywhere, it doesn't matter what it is. You go and look at the properties, you're going to find a lot of properties there, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 days in the market, and they have no offers. And there is many reasons for that. Maybe because people are scared, maybe because people don't qualify. So, but if you have that opportunity that you are ready, and you can negotiate with the seller, be able to get concessions, which basically is the seller helping you to cover the closing cost for your property. You can negotiate the price. There's a lot of things. If working with a professional in the real estate like you can negotiate a lot of things that instead of you buying the house for $450 and having to put all the closing costs, then you can actually save a lot of money. Okay, buy the house maybe cheaper, or not having to bring a lot of money out of pocket, because the seller will help you to cover your closing cost. Now, if you do the same transaction in a market where the rates are low, that means that we have a hot market, and a lot of people is going to be going. You won't see houses for more than 10 days in the market. So you won't be able to negotiate. And that's when you make the numbers don't make sense, because instead of you saving $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, you're going to have to put more money to be able to fight and be able to get an offer accepted.
Of course, remember when it was 2021, right at the end of 2021 through like 2023, people, man, we were trying to make offers before houses were even out on the market.
Correct.
Right? Houses, you couldn't even see them, right?
There were lines of people, 30, 40, 50 people outside to see the house. And an open house. I never saw that in my life before. So. Yeah.
And not only that, when we're talking about making an offer, is like, okay, are you guys willing to help with some concessions, giving the buyer some credits in order to this? Nope. Why? Because we have 7 offers that are paying over asking price, but the house is not even worth that. They don't care.
Of course not, because people gets emotional, right? Emotions are what dictates what people do in most cases. And that's one of the things that I like to do, is just explain this to people. Like, yes, you might get a higher interest rate right now, but you can get a great price. Nobody knows. And whoever tells you when the rates are going to come down, it's lying. They're lying to you. Nobody knows when the rates are going to come down, right? We can speculate all you want, and we can say maybe 6 months, maybe a year. But in reality, we don't know. I don't expect the rates to come down anytime soon. But they might come down in 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. If you look at history, the market is always go up and it goes down. Eventually. It's cyclical, of course. So you want to take advantage of a great price when you buy the house, And then eventually when the rates come down, you can refinance and take advantage of a lower rate. When I bought my house in 2014, I got a 5.75 interest rate. Okay. 2 years later, rates came down. I refinanced for 15 years at a 2.75.
Ooh, look at that.
So it was great. So, but if I would have just wait until 2015 to buy the house because I was going to buy it for a lower interest rate, then I wouldn't buy it for 149. Maybe I was going to be paying 179, 180 more money for the same house.
Yep.
So, or the same type of house.
Exact.
Yeah.
And
so,
that's such a gem what we're talking about. And that's what people need to know. People need to know this, right? To take advantage of these opportunities.
100%.
Because, brother, being informed is so valuable, right? Having the right connections, working with the right people. Yes, there is a lot of people out there that all they care is about making sales, closing deals, and just hungry for that. But there's a lot of people out here too, like us, that we are trying really to take care of people, right? Before I came fully into real estate, I'm gonna share my experience with you. I had a home. I was doing pretty well. I was a contractor, and my house, I bought it for $350,000. One thing that when you're a contractor and when you're self-employed and everything, you're one illness away from being broke.
Yeah.
Wow, life came at me, bro, with a left hook like crazy.
Been there. Yeah.
And next thing you know, just like time clock, I got behind on my house. Beautiful house. My house in Mesa used to be the chief of police house. And now it was my house. It had pool. I had a little garden, and the backyard went into the golf course. It had 2 master bedrooms. Man, I was living the dream until I got sick.
Life happened.
I couldn't work. And guess what? When you're self-employed and all of a sudden you can't work, woo, it's like somebody just turned off the water, brother, on the desert. Next thing you know, just like clockwork, I started getting the foreclosure notices. I got behind a month. I got behind another month. I try to make arrangements. I try to do all this. Of course, they work with me. Of course, I took advantage of their opportunity, but I wasn't able to recover fast enough.
Yeah.
Long story short, was something that happened to me. I had a lady, and I wasn't as knowledgeable in real estate as I am now. She came knocking at my door, and when you're in those situations, you are prey for the predators. And she said, "Oh, we can help you. We can do this. We can do this kind of arrangements and everything." You know what? I think I was like vulnerable, and I signed whatever, like the plan that she had. I don't even remember what she was, to be honest with you. And then she disappeared. When I try to save the house like 3 or 4 weeks later, that this lady was supposed to help me, I keep going more and more in debt. The foreclosure date is coming up already in a few weeks. I contacted another real estate professional and everything. They're like, "Okay, let's try to help you." Guess what? It's like, "Oh man, I got to give you some bad news." The solution was they were going to try to help me sell my house. So at least I sell, at cost. I wouldn't make any money, but I wouldn't lose any money. And they told me, "Well, the paper you signed was like a binding contract with somebody, and they recorded a memorandum."
No way.
So I couldn't sell the house, and I got foreclosed. Guess who bought the house?
The person who made you sign the paper. It's so sad because how many people can relate to your story?
Ooh.
How many people can relate to your story? And this is what really motivates me to do what I do and to do it the best way I can do. Because that satisfaction of being able to help someone is something that I wouldn't be able to explain.
Imagine the following day, right? I think the actions happen like on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Imagine the following day, this person showing up to the house, knocking on the door with 2 gorillas on the back, It's like, "Hey, this is my house now, and you have to leave." And I was like, "Hey, well, you're going to have to, you're going to have to kick me out. I got nowhere to go." She's like, "Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to give you a $4,000 check so you can find a place to rent, anything you need and everything." So you know what? At that point, I'm like, "Okay, I'll take what I can." But imagine, brother, now we're going to put it in a different perspective. Imagine me closing that door, turning around, looking at my family on the eyes as a man and telling them that we have to move, that we lost the house.
That's hard. That's tough. That is tough, and unfortunately, there is a lot of stories like that in the market. And you know what? People ask me, "Hey Juan, are you in the industry because you want to make a lot of money?" And I'm not gonna lie to you. Everybody wants to make money, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to make a good living for their families. But there's two different ways: making money the right way and making money.
Yeah.
And in my I'm not here to judge anyone, and I'm not here to tell anybody you're doing good or you're doing bad. I'm not a judge. But in my personal opinion, there is no other way to be able to make a living than the right way. And helping people, I believe in karma. I believe in energy. I believe in what goes around comes around. Okay.
That's your mantra right there.
My mantra. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's, unfortunately, there is a ton of stories just like that.
Yeah.
The janitor on the building where I have my office, I was talking to him the other day, Don Pancho. And I was talking to him, and he told me a story. His family member, the husband died, and he's the one that did everything all the life, right? He made the payments on the house, and the wife was she didn't have all that information, so he passed away. They were not expecting that. Okay, it just happened out of the blue, and she just didn't even know where to make the payments. She didn't know. She had the money, but she didn't just know how to do everything. So someone got a hold of her and said, "Hey, try to convince her. Okay, but this is a big house for you. Why don't you sell the house and buy something smaller? You can make money." So that the house was worth about $500,000. Mm-hmm. She didn't even know. Okay, she didn't even know. She was so broken heart because her husband just passed away, and this person said, "Yeah, I can help you sell the house." Okay, as a matter of fact, and I think you can sell the house for. I think she got $240,000.
Oh my God!
For the house, and she said, "Well, but then where am I gonna go?" The house was almost paid off. Okay, I think she only had a balance of $40,000 in the house.
Wow.
So long story short, they actually gave her about $240,000, paid the balance on the house. Okay, minus the balance on the house. Okay, so she only kept about $200,000, right? So when he told me that, and I said, "Well, is she already done with the transaction?" She goes like, "I don't know. Let me talk to her." She already signed all the documentation. There is nothing we could have done because it was too late already. So she lost all that money. Okay, and all she did is bought a mobile home on a park and go and live in that mobile home. So it's and I'm here thinking, and a lot of people will, and it's a lot of opinions and ethics and moral and whatever you want to call it. But I'm here thinking, how could I sleep at night knowing that I am doing this to someone?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just something that it's not ethical to me, and I wouldn't be able to sleep. And anybody that knows me knows that whatever I'm saying in front of the camera right now is the same thing that I will tell you if you and I would have been just by ourselves in the office.
Yeah.
And that's in my opinion, at least that's how I live my life. Mm-hmm. And it's sad though. The story that you told me, it's just sad. But I mean, the good thing is that you were able to recover. You were able to take care of your family, of course. But not everybody has that opportunity though.
No, you know what? And that's what drove me to start real estate. Prior to that, my mom had already invested on multifamily in a duplex and El Paso and everything. So I had a little bit of experience on that. And based on this experience, I said, this will never happen to me again. This will never happen to me again. And then I'm a veteran. My house was in
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. You're so very welcome. And not only that, but I found out just a couple of years ago that there's a balance waiting for me between what the VA covered as a loss and what the house was sold for that I'm responsible for to the IRS.
Okay.
That was news for me. I called the IRS
Yes.
for a question, and it turns out that gap of money, which is like $70,000 difference, they counted it as income, and I owe taxes on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's correct.
Wow, but the beautiful experience, and I'm blessed to live through that. I am very blessed that I lived through that. I am very blessed.
You learn. That's an experience. Yeah.
Well, not only that, brother, but I said this will never happen to me again. I started learning a lot about real estate. I went deep into research. I got my license. I started working with real estate investors. I started working with all these other people, and I started helping people on their situation. I wasn't trying to make real estate a career. I have I have a career in something else completely different than real estate, but I started helping people so much and actually solving problems that it started consuming my time so much that I had to take a decision eventually. Exactly. I was like, do I want to do this that I'm already over here, or do I want to do this? And honestly, the satisfaction of helping people was so great, and I just felt I could make a difference that I decided to go this route. There's people in our pipeline that I've worked with for 29 months. 29 months. Yeah. And then we get them over. I pass them over to the realtor, and then the realtor got her on the contract like in 2 days. I was kind of hating a little bit. I helped this lady for 29 months. She went through the divorce. We even helped her fix her credit. We even helped her find a job. Man, we can be almost like borderline therapist.
Yeah.
We waited for the daughter to turn like 18, and she had already been working. She met all the requirements, and then they got a house. After we got the pre-approval on a Friday, by Monday they were under contract.
Wow.
And that's the kind of difference we can make.
That's impressive. And you know what? That's one of the reasons I love what I do. And people will say, and anything you do, you can help people. It doesn't have to be real estate. If you're a nurse, you help people. If whatever you do, you help, but only if you have the means to help people. Correct. So that's basically what it is. And I think if you would ask me if I do 100% for everything I do for money, I will say no. Money just is a result of what we do. Yeah.
It's a byproduct, right?
Exactly. So it's just a result. And you can have a lot of money, but I don't think you can enjoy the money unless you did it the right way.
Absolutely. So, guys, if anybody out there wants to learn about real estate, wants to know what we're talking about, has some questions on us to elaborate what investments can be done, DSCR, opportunities, fix and flips, anything related to real estate, it's so powerful. Right? It's so powerful. I've seen people become real estate professionals and literally go from making $30,000 a year to making over $100,000 a year. Right? Yeah. And of course, yes, there's a huge learning curve. It's not for everyone. Actually, it's for very few. The lifestyle is for very few. There's so much in context to that, guys. So believe me, it's not a sales pitch. This is not an Instagram video, right? We can go into depth on what the reality of the work that we put in is. People don't realize that. Yeah. Right? Me and you being on the phone like at 10 o'clock at night. And then at like 7 the next morning.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Yeah. That's pretty common. That's pretty common. And again, to me I do it because I love doing what I do. Mm-hmm. And I just enjoy it. So I sometimes get scared that I get to the office. It happened to me very, very often. Now I try to, one of the things that I'm learning now is time management. Okay? Yeah. I thank God I have a great partner in business, Alba, and she's teaching me a lot of time management because I'm all over the place. I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for Alba, my life would have been a mess, and my office would have been a mess. And she's teaching me and keeping me accountable on time management. because I've been in the office, got into the office at 7 a.m, and I get to work and I start doing things, and all of a sudden it's already 4 p.m. and I'm in my head, I gotta wrap up. I have to go home, and but they just came in, and I start working, and there is times that I left the office at 9 p.m. and time goes by like this. It goes by so quick, and because I enjoy what I do,
yes,
but it's so important to have balance.
Yes,
and sometimes people that work in any industry, but it's people that works in real estate and lending. Sometimes we have a lot of things to work with and a lot of moving pieces that we have to make sure that we have everything under control. That if we don't have a balance, it's so easy to just be at the office the whole day. You don't even see. Sometimes I don't see my kids because I left in the morning. They go to school. I come back and they're already back to sleep. And I'm like, oh man, and that's something that I'm working on to be able to control and have that that balance that is so important.
And it's such a process, right? It's such a process as when we go back to the human being behind the business.
Yeah.
And how we better our processes. Okay, so I got good at making money. I went from 0 to 10 to 20 to 30, but now I'm at 40 and I'm overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Right. And there's a saying with God is never going to give you more than you can handle.
Exactly.
Right. So your hands are only so big.
Yeah.
But they can be a lot more efficient. Right.
And, but there is a learning curve.
There's definitely a learning curve, brother. And in a lot of times, sadly, and this is for everybody that buying into those entrepreneurship videos and thinking, popping bottles and trips, that's what it's like. Guys, usually having the time and creating the balance is triggered by losses. Mm-hmm. It's triggered by divorces. It's triggered by remorse. It's triggered by time that you already missed with your kids.
Hopefully nothing happens.
You know what I mean? God willing, it doesn't, right?
Yes.
But a lot of times that's the reality of it, right? Or a lot of it is, for example, my experience. All of a sudden, I realized that, I was very comfortable, with my business, bringing in money and doing everything, having a good life until I didn't.
Yeah.
1 minute to another is like somebody shut off the water, brother.
Yeah.
And guess what? Actually, a couple of weeks later, they shut off the water.
Yeah, that's exactly. And you know what? One thing that I do want to mention is we have to give credit to credit needs to be deserved, right? So in my somebody that I most of the time don't give credit to is my wife. She if it wasn't for my wife that she's at home taking care of the kids and doing everything she does, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And it would be so hard. So there is a lot of people that even though we think we're sufficient, if all those people were not in our lives, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Or at least it would have been a lot tougher. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to walk into dangerous territory, but I love it because this is the I Am Voice podcast and we're fearless.
Let's see.
I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I'm going to put my wife on payroll. I'm going to put my wife in payroll because if it wasn't for her, for her taking care of business the way she does, I'm part of what she takes care of.
Yeah.
I'm part of everything that I'm able to accomplish is a result of a lot of the 99.99% work that she's putting in.
That's true, but let's not talk about that because then she's gonna.
She's gonna
want the same
right?
thing. Yeah, no, I'm just messing. Yeah, no. But it's true though. And sometimes it's tough for a lot of people, including myself, to recognize and to see that we sometimes don't give the credit that they deserve. But if it wasn't for them, okay, just think about your life without for those of you that are married, have kids, without your wife, how much harder it would it be, right?
Yes.
So that's something that I'm very grateful for.
And getting our priorities straight, brother.
Yeah.
Getting our priorities straight. I think I call it wolves, right? Mm-hmm. People like us that we have the wolf nature. We're hunters. We go out there. A lot of times we get so obsessed with our hunt, with our goals, that we tend to not really be grateful for everything else that's around around in our life.
Yeah.
And taking a step back and learning this before it happens, learning this from a podcast and not from experience, guys, is the best thing. I just saved your marriage right now. I just saved like your...
That's in a lot of cases, yeah.
Yeah, because remember, look, your wife or your significant other in general, it's really responsible for about 50% of your emotional well-being. No matter how you want to put it, how strong you think you are, and how invincible. And not only that, your significant other that's at home, or it's 50% responsible for the people that you care for the most, which is your kids. And another thing, your kids would only be today years old today.
That's correct.
Blink of an eye. I got a 23-year-old son. I got a 22-year-old daughter. I got a 60-year-old daughter. And I got a year-old son and counting, baby.
Dude, how old are you?
And I got 3 grandkids.
Yeah, no,
I got 3 grandkids.
It's impressive. My oldest daughter, she's 13. She's already talking about quinceañera.
Ooh.
And she's already telling me all this. And when did that happen, though? I mean, it was my little baby, and now she's 13. She's about to be 14, and life goes like this. If you don't sit down and think about, your kids are gonna grow up so fast,
Exactly.
and you're not gonna enjoy them. So don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
Do not make that mistake of focusing on an unbalanced life where you're focusing a lot of work, money, even though it's important, but it's not the most important thing in life.
And another thing, remember, anytime that you're doing something, you're exchanging time,
Yeah.
right? And time is the only thing that we will never get back, no matter what. We can always make more money.
100%.
I could lose a house. A couple of years ago, me and my business partner had 10 properties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you can get everything back, but you will never get back time.
Never time.
That's correct. 100%. This morning I was driving to taking my kids to school, and my daughter was telling me, "Dad, today is my first softball game. Are you gonna be able to be there?" You bet I'll be there.
You bet.
100% I'll be there. And that's something that I'm very proud of, being able to have that freedom. A lot of people unfortunately don't have that freedom because they work on an employment that
requires
them to be at a time, and they don't have that. So I'm grateful that I have that freedom to be able to take time out of my office, out of my day to day, to be able to be with my kids. And I think it's so important to mention those for people that have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't make that mistake and think because your son is 5 years old, in a blink of an eye, your son, your daughter are going to be 10, 15, and
then it's too late.
It's too late, buddy.
It's too late. It's too late. You know what? And one of the things that came to mind while you were saying that, while you were talking about that, is, you know, we're not getting any more time. We're not getting any younger, right? And at the end of the day, is one that you're not even going to be here. And this is, I'm feeling this out of the conversation that you were saying right now. We were having with your the person that passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, and then money stopped.
Yeah.
Right. So we not only got to take the time to love our people, to love our family, but to educate them, to teach them what we know. For example, a lot of those who were spearheading the barrier breaking in our families, right? Mm-hmm. Like myself, I'm coming and I'm breaking barriers, financial barriers for any generations before me, you know? And then what? Juan, we start making money, we're successful, we start making businesses, but then when we're not here, everything goes to hell again.
And then after you're not here, it's sad to think, but people won't even remember you if you didn't do anything that mean for them, you know? And that's sad to know that it's important for you to leave a legacy, an important legacy. So on life, at least to me, that's very important. And that legacy, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about properties. I'm talking about something that will be meaningful. For my dad passed away in 2017, and I didn't.
Sorry for your loss, brother.
No, yeah, and you know what? Thank you, but I didn't get any inherits, house, money, but the education, the love, the time that I spent with them, that's what's gonna be with me the rest of my life. And that's to me, that's one of the most important things. So, and I know we might be talking about different topics now, but I think everything goes into one thing.
Absolutely.
Because everything goes into one, because this is the basics of being able to invest, being able to grow, being able to make things happen. These are the basics. You need to be able to worry about the basics first.
Yes.
A lot of people is so distracted in making money and making other things, but the basics are not there. Okay, so that's, I think it was important for us to bring it up.
Definitely, because it covers all the 360. You got to invest in yourself, number one. If you want to be a successful investor, you got to invest in yourself, in your knowledge, in your skills, in your everything. And 100%. Then you got to invest in your family. After you got all those straight, then you can invest in any business. And then you're going to have the emotional strength, the emotional power, the mental power, the basics to be able to succeed and ride the waves of those businesses.
And enjoy them.
Yes.
Because it's so sad to have money and not be able to enjoy the money because, one, you don't have time, or you don't have someone to enjoy it with.
Absolutely, brother. We're gonna have to have you back like for 2 more episodes.
Really?
We got so much to dig and to go in there. But and right before we close, brother, I do want to make this question, right? You as an investor, what are you interested, or what industries, what comes next in your investments, brother? Where do you see yourself investing, or what do you see as far as the opportunities coming in the next couple of years?
You know what? I think real estate, as we've been talking about, real estate is a big one for me. Okay.
Awesome. Well, how do you see this international, the foreign loans coming through? You think that's something that's going to grow here in the future?
100%. Yes, it's big, because now people from at least the places that I'm working right now, which is Mexico and Colombia, people is getting to know that they can invest. Okay, they can have an investment in the U.S. So it's definitely going to grow. So I'm going to have a meeting on the beginning of May in Mochis, and we invited 150 investors. They have confirmed, and we're going to be doing these meetings for them to explaining the process and being able to give them the confidence that we know how to get it done the right way. Help people to invest. That's what I'm here for, just to teach you how to invest and grow your money through real estate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Brother, well, thank you very much for being here. The Unveils podcast it's full of gems. This one, definitely, man, if you've been listening to the podcast and you blinked and you've been paying attention, we're about to change your life right now. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a payment link at the end of this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. In the description.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was actually it was nice to have this conversation with you, and thank you for sitting and listening to the whole podcast and things that we're saying. So hopefully we can have another conversation in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, remember that we are very proud to be presented by Coley Studios. We have a lot going on. ColeyStudios.com is the website. Make sure you check them out. Follow them on social media. Follow us on social media. Brother Juan, where can people follow you or get your information?
So you can, I post videos in TikTok. I have my Facebook. You can look me up by Juan Arce. And my website is JA Team Home Loans. You can actually go to the website. We have some videos. We have information. Okay. And if you guys have any questions, you can call me. Phone number 623-252-2101.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And don't forget to like, follow, comment, and give us a 5 stars, whether you're listening to us in Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcast, whether you're watching this on TV. Coming soon, you never know, right? Right? Making it happen, manifesting it to the universe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Law of attraction.
Law of attraction. And make sure you follow us on social media at the DJ Vols, and just look for DJ Vols, and the website is imvols.com. gmail.com. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here with us. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with us today. So bless you for that. And I'm DJ Vos, and I approve this message. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official I Am Vos podcast.
Be whoever you want to be.